You're listening to the Fortnite Community Podcast with your hosts, TwoLoud, TX, and Nolxero.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you. Thank you so much for the support you've been giving us. Thank you for coming back another week. And of course, this is your Fortnite Community Podcast. This is for you guys, so we really appreciate you guys and all the feedback you've given us. Obviously, this show is brought to you by GlomTom, glomtom.com. Don't forget, it's a great present for Christmas. If, David, every night I swear by this thing with you. I play with my GlomTom, which sounds really naughty, but I play with my GlomTom all the time. And so you guys got to go check it out, glomtom.com. It is an incredible item. You will love sitting there with this on your lap and the posture that you get out of it. So check it out, glomtom.com. And we're getting our code changed, but if you use the code right now, DCCR, so dog, cat, Roger, on there, you'll get 5% off, and it will help us out as well as we continue to grow the podcast. But, guys, we want to thank you for coming back. We're going to break this up into two shows. So the show you're listening to right now is going to be more PVE focused. And the reason why we're doing this is because some of you guys don't really care about PVE, and some of you guys don't care about PvP. So what we're going to do is we're going to break it up this week into a couple shows for you and talk PVE first.
PvP?
PVE.
Oh, they said PvP first. My bad.
Yeah, no. PVE first. We're going to talk PVE first.
Okay.
So, but we've had a lot of updates since all this information has been coming out about the ending of Fortnitemares, and here we are in December, and everybody's begging for this Christmas map, and all this stuff on the internet about snow and some of the great ideas that we got that we're definitely going to talk about in the PvP. But in regards to PvE, Nolxero, you've been getting quite excited, my friend.
I have. It's growing on me, man. Like, I've had a love-hate relationship with this PvE. And I'm saying that from a place of love.
Right.
Like, I want to love it. But I've had times where I don't love it at all. And there's still some things that I don't like, but we are still in early access. They are shown to be more than receptive to feedback.
No, absolutely.
So that's definitely why I'm like, I'm so glad we're doing this podcast. I'm so glad we're here. I love the game. I enjoy the game. There's aspects I'd like to see change, and I think we could have an effect there. And that's my goal right now, is I want to get to the point, first and foremost, that one, we entertain our people that listen, and two, I want to help shape this game. I want to have some kind of involvement in shaping the game.
You've been so passionate about this that we actually haven't even spoken about it. And we talk every day, at least an hour a day.
And I haven't said a thing.
On the phone. And we haven't said a thing to me. We actually have been avoiding it as we've been playing Battle Royale the whole weekend, so that you could
every single time. It was like you said, oh, hey, what about... No. I'll write it down. We'll talk about it later.
Right. So we're going to talk about it now for you. So if you guys are fans of Save the World, we are here to talk about it this week. There is a lot to cover. And what we're going to start with is there was an update that came out on 11/28, so November 28th, just last week, and talking about a lot of the enhancement. They had titled the update Smoke Grenades and Xbox One X support. Update or version 1.9.1 that I had mentioned last week. But the big thing out of this for all the Save the World and PvE fans was they were bringing in the vendor tech weapons, and the mutant storms were returning. And The first thing that I asked you, Nolxero, is what the heck is a mutant storm?
Yes. So, okay, dude. So I'm gonna start with frustration on this one. I logged in when the Fortnitemares event ended. I was super excited. I'm like, what's the next thing? I want to see what the next event is. And I wasn't here for the first. I guess there used to be mutant storms in the game, or they've had an event like this before. We weren't here for that.
No,
so we're not familiar with this event. This is basically a new event to us. I log in. I'm like, what is the new event? I want to see it. What is the quest line? Let me see this thing because I'm looking for that Fortnitemares tab, right? Where it's like, this is the layout. These are the missions. You're gonna do this, this, and that. Here's some of the rewards you're gonna collect along the way, and I don't see that tab. Okay. Then I go into side quests and I see that there's side quests for the event, and I'm like, okay, maybe they've loaded the side quest and the event's not active yet. I don't know. Maybe it's not active yet. So, first point of frustration. I spent 1,000 V-Bucks to get 1,000 candies
Right.
to open up my first llama for the event. Because like, I'm gonna scam the system. I'm gonna get me a llama in before it even starts.
Right.
I pull a sniper rifle out of a terrible roll. I had to chunk it, but
It was one of the vendor tech weapons?
yeah.
Which, by the way, look amazing. They do look really cool.
And well, dude, I got the pulse rifle, and that thing is a laser beam. Like literally, it shoots like lasers. It shoots these energy cell rounds.
Right.
And whenever you scope in with that pulse, your reticle gets super tiny, and it shoots 3 incredibly fast rounds. And so, like, if you hit a headshot, all 3 of those rounds are going to hit a headshot. It's not like your 3-round burst in PvP where it's like, rah, rah, and you have to be pretty close to hit all 3 headshots every time. This thing, if you put it on a head, you're getting all 3 headshots. Mix that with the Fortnitemares soldier that has the Gatling gun, and he has an actual bonus in his tree that whenever you get headshots, your rounds shoot 25% faster. And then he has a second part of that where it's like it even increases the shot speed even faster at like level 18. So that's been a fun little combo for me right now, is that 3-round burst and that soldier.
Well, I didn't mean to
Really
get you off
powerful.
task because obviously you are very excited about the vendor tech weapons. But go ahead, continue on. You're diving in. You're trying to find this event. You spend 1,000 V-Bucks. You get
Yes.
a sniper that you end up scratching. What happens?
So I think I waited to, like, I kept checking back. The 2 days, it was like 2 or 3 days, right, when it first should have been out, when
Right.
we should have had it. And I keep checking back, and those are days I didn't really have time to sit down and play. I think we played a little bit of PvP those nights, but I didn't really have the chance to. I wasn't going to have a chance to sit down and play the event anyways. So it wasn't a big deal. I was like, oh, it's not there. Oh, it's not there. Oh, it's not there. But so finally, I'm like, dude, what in the world is going on here? What is this? So I look it up, and I realize like it's actually, you have to go to the map, and on the map there will be all the missions that are available to you in your area. And those storm events, the storm event will be specific nodes. And they'll actually be like purple. It'll look like here's the mission, and there's some stuff happening here.
There's
You
a
should go
storm
here, because
happening here, per se.
there's some
Yep.
crazy stuff going on here.
Yeah.
And so then when I realized that, I was like, I threw away 1,000 V-Bucks. I was pissed. I was like, I'm ready to tweet Epic and be like, refund my 1,000 V-Bucks now. Ultimately, it was okay because I got a bunch of stuff out of that I was able to scrap for it, schematic and survivor XP.
Right.
So it all was okay, but that was my frustration. Overall, though, the event is a little lackluster coming out of Fortnitemares. That you need 1,000 candies this time around.
Compared to the
Open up
500.
a llama. What's the Kapana? So you need 1,000 of them now.
Yeah.
You get anything in Stonewood gives you 60. That's the first area. Kind of like the starter area. Then the next area where I'm at is actually my game open. Great thing, so I can actually say what we're in. But over in Plankerton, it's 65. As far as Canny Valley and Twine Peaks, I'm sorry. I don't know what the ticket things are, but if it keeps with that momentum, it's 60, 65, 70, 75 per event.
Okay.
So anybody that does a little bit of simple math will realize that's quite a bit of farming.
Right. To get to 1,000 this time around
get to
instead of
1,000.
500. Yeah.
However, their side quests are pretty giving. I've gotten 400 V-Bucks from their side questing, and some of them were daily, so that's not all this particular thing, but their side quests also give quite a bit of candies. I've gotten multiple where it pops up 500 candies, 250 candies. I've opened like 3 llamas since then. It still feels a little more grindy than as far as getting rewards from this thing than Fort Nightmares did, but it also doesn't feel like a real event. Like this doesn't. This feels like they were just like, here's an event. We don't
Well,
have
if
necessarily anything real planned, and that's not a dig at anybody. It's just how it feels.
yeah, if I remember correctly, when they talked about the future of the State of the World, I think they put that out like on the 17th. The future of the State of the World update. They had mentioned that after Fort Nightmares, they were going to have a mini event. I don't know if
Okay.
you
Oh,
remember this, but
I
they were
don't
going to
remember that.
they were going to have a mini event, and this is before all the mini bosses get dropped and all that stuff. So
Yeah, because I went and looked at some stuff, and I was like, the store, the event store and stuff says December. So I was like, that's where I got confused on it too. I was like, why isn't this stuff in the game then right now? Like, what are we waiting on?
right.
We still have quite a bit of December left.
Yeah, we obviously quite a bit since we just started. But yeah, I think I'm not sure, and don't quote me on this, but I want to say this is going to be that little event. So I'm trying to skim through here on those notes that they actually had in that the future of the State of the World update on the 17th. And one of the things that I see that they note that they state here is on Survival version 2. So I guess Survival is going to be coming back. We want to give you the things you care about when you're starting out or as you're powering through into game content. You have to help us make survival mode better with a lot of great suggestions, giving you the ability to vote skip days was one of the popular requests they're putting into it for the next round of survival coming in December. So it sounds like survival is coming back as well.
Okay.
I'm guessing. But yeah, I was trying to find. I know that like they're going to bring some mini bosses in, and which is something that you had actually suggested to me. Like, hey man, they really need to bring some mini bosses in. I know that they're going to be bringing that. So
like I said about Fort Nightmares, I feel like Fort Nightmares was a little grindy, but man, the biggest missed opportunity there was like capping it off with Vlad or some kind of boss. Maybe Vlad's super ghoul, so Vlad can come back next year. Maybe he, whatever they wanted to put. I just felt like it was a missed opportunity to have some kind of boss fight that was epic, dare I say.
well, I mean, so would you say that right now, so as far as getting the vineyard, and I wonder how long this is going to go. If I am wrong, if this is not the mini event they talked about in between the next event, which everyone was presuming would be December, maybe December is going to be this small mini event, and then January we'll get a bigger event. But they obviously got to give people enough time to get these vendor tech weapons. So that's what makes me think, okay, maybe this isn't the mini event, or maybe the vendor tech weapons are also going to be tied into the next event.
Yeah, because vendor tech seems like this. Honestly, seems like something that should be here. Maybe not all the time, but this doesn't even feel like an event like you necessarily announce. It's almost like, for our Destiny fans that may come listen to us from our Destiny days, or it's almost like a weekend ritual thing. Like, hey, this weekend the storms are going to be active, or even more so down the line of like, oh, the vendors are collecting coins again. It feels like an event that should happen almost a couple times a month. Doesn't feel like a true, like, really investable event,
Right.
or investable event. So anybody that's like coming straight off Fort Nightmares thinking like if they didn't want to play PVE outside of like an event, they'll be disappointed with this. It's not a bad event. Like I said, they're giving you ways to get some free loot, and I'll talk more about and some other things we're going to talk about looting and stuff.
Right.
But it gives you a good way to kind of get some stuff in your roster.
So one of the things
and
for
still play the game and get progression, like as far as maps.
right. Well, one thing people can note that if you do have any unspent Halloween tickets, you will receive. You'll actually get to put these. From what I understand, for every 500 unspent Halloween tickets, you'll receive a Halloween llama. available in the loot tab.
Yeah.
So they were trying to get you to spend those. You'll fight the storm and earn tickets for missions up to 10 times per day.
Yes.
And then the event quest specific to Mutant Storms has been added, so as you mentioned.
So the important note there is that's 10 times per day you can earn tickets. That means you can get 650 candies just by playing the missions a day.
Right.
Beyond that, you can, from my understanding and from what I've seen so far, I think I've only maxed out one day where I've done 10 of them. And I believe you're still able to do your side quest as far as the event goes. So you can still do your side quest and still get candies there, and that's pretty much the fastest way to get candies because grinding, close to 20 of these things is not necessarily the most optimal way. So basically, every day, every 2 days, you can open up one loot llama just based off the grind.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. There is a list of vendor tech weapons for you guys that don't know already. You have the Pulsar, the Burster, the Blazer, the Disintegrator, Jolter, Blaster, Slammer, Server, Slicer. Tons of stuff. Disintegrator, I believe is how you say it, but it's a shotgun that fires. The shotgun that fires balls of plasma.
Uh-huh.
That is ridiculous.
The guns are cool. There's no doubt about it. Those guns are cool. And they have them in Legendary. They have them in Epic. And they have them in Crystal form as well.
Wow. That is fantastic. And I'm sure
Which, if you're lower level, I don't think it's possible to... I don't know yet. I'm not far enough along. I haven't received one yet. But Crystal seems to be in-game tier. So I don't think that's just something you're going to run into at level, 20, 23, 30.
One thing to note is the amount of storm tickets given out by Mutant Storms will now be consistent across all hexes of the same difficulty level.
Yeah.
So
there's just not a big reason, like, if you don't have a lot of time to play, the game already has some time limits in place that kind of make you play for a certain amount of time anyways.
Right.
That are frustrating to me. But beyond that, if you don't have a lot of time to play, and say you're like in the next map and you're like, well, I'm 20 and I want to get these, I want to just do some missions before I go to bed tonight, and you're over in Plankton. Well, you could always go back to Stonewood. You're only going to lose 5 tickets per match, and you can solo those at 20, like, no problem, because you're only going to get in Stonewood, you're only going to get up to like level 15, maybe 19. That, like, if it's one of the really edge of the map missions, but overall it's like between level 1 and 15. So if you're level 20, you go over there, you can farm them out pretty fast. Even, like, obviously the more people, the faster that can go, but it's definitely worth having people there. But I was just saying, solo you could go if you're a little bit higher level.
So for people that are jumping over, maybe they're jumping over to Save the World for the first time, the biggest problem that we've talked about is at the beginning of the game, right? Up to, and what we're, I'm sure you've experienced this, and I'm starting to, until you get to like level 15, like building traps and stuff is not even, it's not even worth it at the lower levels. It almost seems like, because you can just kill the enemies and go on to the next. And it's kind of, and this is where I think, like, that's where you were probably getting tired of it. And I think some people drop off as like our buddy Kyle is like, man, this is super grindy and it's repetitive and it's the same thing over and over. What do you have to say about that? Like, what is starting to catch you in this game?
When you get to Plankerton, which is the second region, the difficulty ramps. Like, I went into one and I was in a 23 zone. It was a couple levels higher than I was at the time. I was a 19 at the time. And the game up until then had basically told me my, poo don't stink, and that I can just do what I want and no problem. I can just throw some boards around the objective and kill everything. I did that and started the mission, and I got my butt handed to me pretty quick. And then it happened again and again. And then I started to, like, nail down, like, building kill tunnels and routing minions through different tunnels so that even if I don't kill them all through my tunnels, I can mitigate how much it is, because once you get to Plankerton and you hit like level 20s and 30s and those areas of missions, and I don't even know in-game stuff. I'm just talking at 20 and 30. Like that's, this thing goes up to like 100 as far as your power level.
Wow.
It gets really difficult, especially if you're by yourself or you're with a really disorganized team that's trying to everybody's trying to do their own thing. Um, you know, you have these the little mutants. They jump on you in like hordes, like 14 of them will jump on you at one time, and it's really hard to escape them because they jump on you, and then it's hard to escape them because of the way that they are. Even if you jump on top, you kind of get stuck on them. I think they're built that way intentionally.
Okay.
Then you got just beehive guys. Just those two guys alone. I mean, there is so much damage right there. It gets really, really difficult. And so the game mechanics that are enjoyable, like building traps, building bases, all the really cool parts of the game that they teach you at the very beginning that you don't really have to use for the
Right.
first entire area,
Right.
now start coming into play, and you're like, dude, this is actually an enjoyable mission. It's actually enjoyable to kind of think about how do I want to build this base? Where do I want to try to route the zombies to? Because you can kind of route zombies where you want them. It takes some finesse, it takes some skill, but you can get zombies kind of go where you want. But that's part of learning the game and learning its mechanics. And once that starts coming into place, and the very first time I had a successful one where I built some tunnels that were just kill tunnels, and it was like everything was working in perfect harmony, and all these dudes were dying, and I was only having to kill a few stragglers. I was like, dude, this is awesome. Like it just started to feel really good, like really accomplished. Like I had a strategy, I implemented the strategy, and it worked.
So did you find out, like, playing with other people as you got at higher levels was more beneficial than it was at lower levels? Because at like lower levels, part of the problem is like you get in there and everybody's doing their own thing. Even during Fortnitemares, it's like, okay, this dude's got this quest to go find 10 beehives or whatever, so he's got to go find them, right? And he's not even paying attention to like doing any of the actual mission that's actually going on.
Yeah, I mean, so when you have teammates, especially in Plankerton, and I'm assuming as you get further and further, when you have teammates that are helping, especially it's really frustrating when you get into a match. Like I played Soldier last night, and I had built a really good defense. I started the storm without them because I looked at map, I called for them with the team chat, and
Right.
I was like, okay, they're coming, and so I have all this set up, and I have my soldier, and I have a constructor on my team. One of the guys is a constructor, and I'm like, dude, he needs to come over and throw down that base because it has a pulse that'll actually pulse on my things. And so just by them walking on my death tunnels, they'll take damage outside of just the traps. So,
Okay.
but he doesn't come, and it gets really frustrating because I had really good tunnels. Unfortunately, there's a few paths that I didn't account for that I did get like overflow from other areas. So I'd say my tunnels were like 65% effective, and so the other 35% was all at my door, and I was by myself. And so it got really frustrating because it's really fun when you have a team that's doing it together, and then it can be really frustrating when you have a team that's really disarray, and they're all doing their own thing. People farming. It's like, dude, if you want to farm, go in, click private, and go farm. That way, if you don't have to worry about someone joining your game and then they're losing out on an experience,
Right.
because all you're doing is farming resources.
And they become the moochers, what we call the
The moochers.
moochers.
Yes.
So as we go into this new event, and you obviously have the vendor tech weapons. We have these mutant storms that are occurring, and you're diving into it. How, as far as replayability or continue playing, as it go? I mean, you said we got off last night. I got off at 12:30. I was like, I'm gonna start my week good. I'm gonna get some sleep. I'm gonna go to bed. And you stayed up till 3:00 playing Fortnite.
Yeah. Well, so that actually, we could use that to segue into something else I want to talk to you about tonight. That was something, because I learned something about the game that I hadn't previously paid much attention to, and I was just like, oh my god. like, this changes everything. And one night, it was like I was at 19 power level, and in one night I went to 4 power levels in those 2 hours or 3 hours after you got off. 4 power
Okay,
levels.
I'm listening. I'm
So
listening.
the top left corner where it shows that lightning bolt,
Yeah,
what do you think that means? Like, what did you like?
I just thought it
what
was
did
my
you think
power
that?
level.
Like, I know, but like, how do you think that changes? What is your thought process on how does that change? 'Cause remember in the Fortnite mirrors and we were like doing quests and stuff, and
You're
you're like,
getting
dude, I'm not
0
getting any
XP.
experience for this.
Yep.
And I was like, dude, you're in this weird power level thing, and it happened to me too, and I didn't know before like why that is, and I
So
didn't know
I
necessarily how
will
to
say
get out
this,
of
but
that gap.
I think, and they've obviously addressed this. They addressed it in that update that I was just reading from, actually, and I think of the one on the 17th, the state of Fortnite, or the future of the world, save the world. They answered some questions that had come up, and part of the problem is like people don't understand what's going on. Right? Like a lot of people get in here and they play. They have no idea what is happening, how I level up, what are all these menu systems. And the one reason I play games with you is because I can say, "Hey, David, what should I be paying attention to? What does all this mean?" Right? Because I don't dive in. I don't work like you do in that RPG and element world that you've lived in for the past 33 years of your life. For me, it's always been the shooter complex. So that's one thing, is we got together, we played different games, and you've dragged me into this, RPG element slash, grindy type of game. And so they're addressing this, and this is something they're addressing. But dude, I have no idea. I just thought I need to change characters again.
Yeah. So what do you think currently, before we get to the topic I want to address tonight, which we just say the one thing I told Troy I want to talk about tonight was how do you progress? How do you become more powerful? That's the topic we're about to hit. But just on the outset of that, in your best description, it could be a sentence or two. What do you think the very best way to progress? What's the best way for you to get more powerful in this game? Number one way.
Keep switching character types.
No.
I don't know
Any
that.
guess?
I mean, I've leveled up 2 characters to like 20. Right, I don't even really know what I'm doing.
XP from the missions, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so that you
I'm
think
putting on boost all the time, and I'm like, why am I getting XP and I'm putting on this boost? It makes no sense.
okay. The number one absolute best way to increase your power in this game is survivor squads. The very, very, very best way is absolutely the best way. By messing with, I had literally never leveled up a survivor.
So tell everybody that's listening, what is a survivor squad? What are you talking about? Just sounds like micromanagement ridiculousness.
It is kind of micromanaging, but I'll make it very simple for you. If we're looking at our thing, I'm just gonna use. I have my game open so I can kind of walk through this as I talk. You go to the squads tab and you'll see 3 different things. You'll see a defender squads. We can ignore those guys. Those are guys that are at your bases at the storm shield defenses, and I wouldn't waste any material. I wouldn't waste my time on those guys. They're okay, but they're weak sauce compared to everything else that you can spend your time and effort into. So the first thing is survivor squads. Underneath it, you'll see a thing that says fort stats. Underneath that, it'll say fortitude, and it'll give you a plus whatever your thing is. It'll say offense plus whatever your thing is. It'll say resistance plus whatever your thing is, and it'll say tech plus whatever your thing is. Below that, it'll say bonuses. So these bonuses can range from a number of things. They come off of specific survivors, matching a certain type of survivor with 3 of the same survivors will typically give you like a 5% bonus. So like currently, I have a plus 5% to my base damage done, and I have a plus 5 to my percent to my health. Those
So
numbers,
just like our characters, we can get these in number of variant degrees, right? Rare, legendary, epic, common, uncommon, whatever.
Correct. Even mythic. They have them.
Which is blowing my mind because I just learned about that tonight. But yeah, there's something beyond epic, right? Or legendary. It's legendary is the final one in this
epic, legendary, mythic. And then for weapons, I don't believe there's mythic weapons. I could be wrong, but I have not seen any mythic weapons, and it's not in the collection book at all. But For weapons, it's crystal. Back to squads. So you'll have 2 different survivors. You'll have a lead survivor, which will be the lead of any particular group, whether it be EMT,
And only
Fire
certain
Team
and only
Alpha.
certain ones can do this. Only
Yes.
certain survivors can be leaders.
Yeah, there's certain ones that are deemed as leaders. The leader kind of sets the tone for your whole fire team, or the said fire team, because one of them is called Fire Team Alpha. But sets kind of the tone for the whole squad. So what that means is, like, if their personality is a certain type, like a cooperative personality or a competitive personality, then there's opportunity for you, to match your survivors in the squad to this personality.
So
Yes,
personality, the people listening that have probably never played Fortnite PVE Save the World at all is like, what are you talking about personality? This is actually a stat tied to each one of these survivors, and it's like it's almost it's not really a stat, it's a characteristic of it, right? Like, so for instance, almost like a class per se in a way, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, if you think of it like what kind of unit is it? Is it a competitive unit? Is it a cooperative unit? Now, understand, other than matching these personalities with other squad members, they mean nothing. Their personality literally has no effect on any part of the game at all, other than the fact that there's like 7 different or 9 different personalities, and matching those has a bonus. We'll talk about in just a moment.
So,
So,
but you want to match with the leader, right? You want to match your people.
the
You're
leader
putting in
sets the tone for the whole
group.
squad.
Okay.
So if he has a competitive personality, the match will be competitive. If not, you can match with people inside, but it doesn't really. There's a bonus that you get in each squad once you unlock the whole squad, which I haven't unlocked any of them. That's why personality, don't worry about it at first. Until you actually unlock all 7 members of the squad, and you can actually match everybody's personalities. There's no reason to really care.
So you said this is how we level up. So I've got my character. I'm in here. I'm leveling up. I start to unlock this on my tree where I can have these squads, where I can place them in. I'm getting llamas. I'm getting these different survivors, and I'm starting to stick them into groups. But this still is like mind-boggling to me. Like, how is this affecting my game? Like, what is it doing besides giving? Is it giving each character a stat? Like my main character I'm on, is it giving that a stat?
So here's what happens. You place your characters in, right? You put your leads where you have leads available, and you put the squad members where you have them available at first, just to get some stats on your fort. Now, these directly have the largest gains you can get. So I leveled up one of my guys to level 20. I leveled up 3 of my squad members in the Fire Team Alpha, which Fire Team Alpha directly affects your damage capability in the game. If you're looking to up your damage, Fire Team Alpha is the first team that you'll have 4 squad members in. So that's the first place you can really start to see a lot of gains in the damage department. Now, I leveled up my leader to like 19. I leveled up my 3 squad members up to 20 each as the highest I could get them currently. That boosted my offense. It was sitting at like a 119 on my fort stats to a 339. My damage, basically, I increased my damage just by upgrading those survivors more than probably the entire first and second tier research tabs put together for damage. Just upgrading those 4 guys.
And that was on Fire Team Alpha.
Our team up.
So, like right now, for instance, I have like the EMT squad, the Fire Team Alpha squad, Corps of Engineering, Scouting Party. That's about as far as I've gotten. And there's like, what, a total of, I don't know how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total squads.
Yeah, there's basically 2 for each. So if you think of it like this, the first, there's 2 for your fortitude or your health, right?
Right.
There's 2 for your offense, which is going to be your damage. There's 2 for your resistance, which is going to be how much damage you can take, and tech, which is going to be abilities and traps and how much damage they do. Those are the 4 different things you're looking to do. These also increase how much you share to your party. So by upgrading these stats, you're also sharing this to parties that you're with and actually making your parties more powerful as well.
And so this stat goes to whatever character I'm playing.
Any character you're playing, doesn't matter.
Okay. So these are your stat boost to any character that you're playing.
Yes.
And
this is like your account's power. Now, if you take, say, a brand new Fortnite legendary purple guy, like the Llama Ninja,
right.
He's got a power level of 15. Can you still get some stuff done with him without leveling him up? Absolutely, because if your survivor squads are leveled out and as far as they can be, and you keep working on those primarily, he'll still be powerful. Now, if you level him up, that makes that hero more powerful in conjunction with your squads. So if you ignore your squads completely and you level up your hero, you got kind of like a ceiling as to how powerful he's going to get. Like, he'll get more powerful and it'll feel good for a little while, but then as you start to progress and you hit that 19 wall that you hit in Fortnitemares, you're going to start realizing, like, oh crap, like, where's my damage? Do I really got to level up this gun to 20 and evolve it and then hope I get enough XP to eventually upgrade it to, star level 3? And it's like, yeah, you can do it that way. It's really, really slow, but you can do it that way. But if you do survivors, you can get there much faster. In fact, survivors, when you go into your research tab, when you go to spend skill points, if you have a slot that you can open up a new survivor in your survivor squad, if you can open up a new slot, you spend it there.
That's your priority.
Absolutely. Except with research. Research, you should always aim to go into the next research tree. So from 2 to 3, 3 to 4, because the first node in the research tabs will give you more per minute or per hour. So you can actually generate more research. But if you don't have that option, which you normally don't until you get like 40 nodes in a tree, the number 1 slot to unlock immediately would be survivor squads, backpack spaces.
And that's the trees are a whole nother conversation for another time. We can't get too carried away here, but
we'll break that down later.
To finish up squads and how it's working here, because I've taken a character. I've taken my Lotus Assassin Sarah. I've taken her and leveled her up and just, whatever, done everything I thought I could do. And I was like, why am I not getting XP, right? Just like in the Fortnitemares thing. But the thing about squads is I'm starting to unlock these squads as I'm going through, and I'm getting these characters. But even deep down in that, David, you can also upgrade like your leader and the survivors in that squad.
Yes, and it's important because, so when I did this, I told you I was 19 last night. I leveled up to power level 23, and I'm almost 24. And that was done in 3 hours, okay? When I realized this, when I learned this, when I figured it out last night, I had 150,000 survivor squad XP. 150,000. I literally had never once upgraded a survivor squad member. Not once.
So the XP is different than your normal XP?
Yeah, it's like you have hero XP, you have schematic XP, you have squad XP or survivor XP, and you have defender XP.
Wow.
So this is let's put a bow on this. How the easiest way for me to explain squads and what's important. Number 1, put leaders in the leader spot that matches that thing. So like for EMT, it'll be a doctor. I think there is some squad members that are leaders that you can put into things that they don't belong in, but you want to find leaders that match the particular group they're in. Okay. Once you've done that, go into each individual slot of that squad, and you'll see actual members that are affected by that leader. Okay. And they'll have higher power. They'll get like bonus power levels without you even leveling them up. They'll get like bonus power levels to put in. So you want to slot those guys first because they're getting bonuses from the leader for whatever reason. I haven't figured that one out completely. It doesn't matter. Just plug in the ones that are getting the bonus. So once you start leveling them up, you get more. Okay. So number 1 is getting people in the squads is absolute number 1. Unlocking those things is number 1. Once you've done that, getting them in there and getting them leveled up is number 2. The more you can level them up, the more you can get those bonuses from the leaders. And try out leaders. As you get new leaders and you're like, hey, I got this new legendary doctor, I'm going to go slot him in. Or maybe you get really lucky and hit a mythic doctor.
Okay.
Go slot him in and see what, if he changes, what bonuses different people are getting. So always look at those things first. If you have a survivor that has been leveled up extensively, but you're not going to be using much longer, maybe you leveled up a blue because it was good for you at the time, delete him. Recycle him. You'll get most of the experience back that you spent on him. So say you leveled him up to level 30, 3 stars. Delete him, recycle him, get most of your experience back. Start hitting the new guys, the ones that are actually going to replace him. After that, personality. Once you actually have this option, personality, you match the personality, takes all the damage or all the health or whatever stat in whatever particular tree, and it gives a plus 25% bonus to. The personality is absolutely the number 2 thing once you get that far, but that's way further down in the game. So don't think about that right now, but just know your next step as you're progressing and you're leveling all these survivors up is to hit personalities.
Okay.
Because once you hit that, and I believe if you hit all 7 members and the team leader, which is 8 slots total, I believe it's actually a 50% bonus. I think I read on the internet.
So can you tell me if I can get personality compared to, say I have a legendary that's not the same personality, but I have a common or an uncommon or rare that is the same personality. Should I do that? Is it better?
No. Always the ones that get bonuses and are of higher rarity.
Okay.
They will always be more powerful. Personality won't matter because what you're losing in actual power, what they're capable of being, you're going to make up if you match all the personalities. The very third thing, and this is when you get to like the min-maxing of like late game, is those bonuses I was talking about. If you get 3 of the same characters that have the range damage bonus, they'll give you a +5 to your range damage.
Okay.
This is a nice little caveat, little cherry on top for the squads. But it's not important. Don't get hung up on those bonuses. They're there. They're enticing. They look good because you're like, oh, +5. If I get all these squads to give me +5 range damage, I'll get a pretty nice little bonus. The thing is it's like taking the base number and giving it +5%. It's not like 8 squads +5. That's what 25, 30, 40. Yeah, 40. It's not like giving it +40%. It's not multiplicative like that. It'd be like if your base stat is 100, it's +5% to that. So it'd be +5, +5, +5, +5, basically over and over and over again.
Okay.
So those things are very, very last. If you could get the ideal, which is like, say, you're looking at your fire team alpha and you're at in game, and you have this, the best leader in that slot, a mythic leader in that slot, and you have all these legendaries in the team. They're all fully max level, and they're all personality matches, and you can start hitting those, range damage bonuses. Awesome. But the biggest thing is their level and their personality later. Number 1 thing right now, just worry about your level of those guys and actually plugging the ones in that get bonuses off of your squad leader.
Okay.
And that is the number 1 way to level up or power up or become more powerful in Save the World. 100%. It's more important than running 100 missions. It's way more important than getting a 100,000 hero XP and leveling up your hero to star 3 or 2 or whatever. It's the most important thing to work. You spend your time anywhere in the menus and figuring stuff out. That's where you do it.
So last question to tie this up. If I'm going in here, and because this is going to happen to a lot of people, you go in here, I go to EMT, I go to my leader, but I don't have a leader that's in a legendary or rare or uncommon that is a medical, that has that medical symbol there. Do I just stick one in there?
Yes.
Just stick my highest person and
because
go?
Something is better than nothing.
Okay.
The thing to know is if you're listening to this and you've made sense of all my ramblings I just went through, and you're like, okay, I get this at least a little bit, always understand if you're putting in a guy that doesn't belong in the EMT squad into the EMT leader spot, just know you're not trying to level that guy up. You can if you're planning on using them elsewhere, but I wouldn't waste my time. I wouldn't even waste my XP because it's not worth getting 80 or 90% of the XP back when you could just keep 100 of it and really focus in on the people that are giving you stats in the right area. Because basically if they're in the wrong squads, they take a hit. Like they take less of a hit. And actually, I think that's what the bonuses are for. If you put survivors in the right squads, like in a damage squad or in an EMT squad, that's where I think their bonuses are actually coming from.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, because for instance, I have an uncommon leader that I can put in the medic slot, but then I also have and that has the medical symbol, but I also have a epic girl that I can stick in there, but she's not medic. So you say go with the medic doctor in that spot?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you guys have any questions, here's the thing. If you have any questions about this, you want to ask us any questions, you can tweet at us, Fortnite Podcast, or go directly to Nolxero and ask him the question at Nolxero, Nolxero on Twitter. So you guys can definitely do that. I mean, is there anything else you want to say real quick about leveling up or about the vendor tech update that we maybe should include here? Because there's so much more we can keep talking about. But is there any last pointers you want to give out?
The last pointer I want to give out is not really about vendor tech. It's more about leveling up. Some people seem to hit a wall. I listened today on my way to work. I listened to every publication's review I could on the way to work to see what they said about Fortnite. I'm just curious what they said about Save the World. And a lot of people talked about progression, feeling like it comes to a dead halt, feels like it stops. Here's the number one piece of advice I can give to you. If you're sitting there and you don't have any particular thing, or maybe you've already done your 10 missions for vendor tech today, and you're like, well, I don't really care if I progress my story. I really don't care. I just want to play, but I don't have a real goal in mind right now. Go to one of your maps. On the map, there will be a mission that's a question mark. Okay. That question mark is play with others. Okay. Now you have two options in this selection. You can play with others that will help you progress, and then you get a plus 20 XP bonus for doing it that way. Or the better one to go with is the one underneath it, the one that does not necessarily put you in a situation to progress your thing. So one thing I've been doing, go to Stonewood. I'm in the next one, the Plankerton. So I go back to Stonewood. I hit that question mark, and a lot of times it takes me to people's storm defense mission. That's the one where you're building like your main storm base.
Right.
Good little note here is when you do that mission, you get a lot of mini llamas from that. Almost every round I did yesterday, I got 3 to 4 mini llamas and was getting my plus 20 XP. What does that mean for you? Well, it means more chances at getting more of those survivors that you can then either slot into those slots or you can break down for XP so you can level up the survivors that you have in those slots.
So
Really good way to not hit a wall is to get in those storm defense missions, get those mini llamas, and start leveling up those survivors.
So people are listening. Some of these people probably, like I said, they're lost now completely. Like, what are you talking about? This is insane.
Yeah.
This sounds
Listen
too crazy.
Listen to the podcast more than once. If I promise you, if you're into Save the World, this is going to be a good episode for you to listen to more than once.
Yeah. So, but the people that don't, that play Battle Royale and thought they were coming over and like, dude, this is way too much for me to handle. I get you guys. I totally understand. I'm right there with you. It is a ton to understand. But as you dive in and you get it, it starts to make more sense. One of the things I will say is they are doing a UI update. They're going to try to give you some more focus and try to give you some more understanding on what to do next, right? Like, hey, what do I need to do next to keep progressing to go forward? So they're definitely going to be doing that. But one thing I will say is it is just fun to get in and play with your friends. Okay. It is a lot of fun to do that. And as you do that, you will start to understand these nuances that are in the game, behind the game. And you will start to enjoy it. I promise. It is a lot of fun. We had a ton of fun with Fortnite. I don't know what's around the corner for the next event. But if you like any type of, and I can only compare it to things that we've played in groups online, but like, for instance, Destiny, if you really enjoyed that game, I think you'll really enjoy this grind. You'll really enjoy this here. There's a lot of good content here as well. But I want to say this. Focus, like he said, on the survivor squads. Don't worry about defender squads for now, for those of you that are playing this. And the other thing is, David, what is the point? At the end of the day, what is the point of me driving these squads and leveling up to get these survivor squads up? Is it just in-game content?
I mean, it's like any game, right? Like, there's a eventual end game, and I don't know a lot about the end game in this game. I know that it's got. I know the weapons are a lot of fun. I know the heroes are a lot of fun. But like I said, early access, they're talking about putting in mini bosses. Last update, they talked about Save the World. They're talking about all kinds of things to add to the end game, make the end game more fun.
Right.
Not that there's necessarily any. I haven't heard really any complaints other than kind of in game seems to be kind of predictable as far as the mission stuff that they're getting. But I mean, the end game is something I think that they're really looking to flesh out and get somewhere. I think it'd be really cool as you get to the end game is to have like crazy, like, all right, here's you got, what if you had like 5 minutes on a map, right? It's cleared out. It's like here's 5 minutes. You have unlimited resources. Build the biggest base, build craziest base, whatever. Build something and then try to defend it.
Yeah.
We're gonna send it and do something kind of almost like a Call of Duty Zombies, right? Where it's like doesn't stop. There's no end to it. But
Right.
this is a great way to gain like a lot of chest XP and all that other stuff. Like
And have
a
fun.
way to really
Yeah.
help you level up. Just have fun. Unlimited building, which is one of the funnest parts of the game, is just building.
Oh, I love building it.
traps
I
and
think that's why
tunnels and
that's why I
bases.
love the Save the World so much. Is I do love the building. I love doing that. If you guys are playing Battle Royale and you like building at all, trust me, there's a lot you can learn in the PVE and in Save the World. And so if you do have an interest in that, go check it out for sure. I promise you won't regret it. I'm excited because as I see, David, these people on the internet that have these crazy bases, right? They have these crazy things they're doing at the end game. That's what I'm really excited to get to. And I feel like we were miles and miles and miles away before, but this is going to help us get there. This is going to help us get through the game. So thank you so much for sharing the knowledge that you gained staying up and probably being tired at work today. But I am very excited now to go in here and mess with my squads. I hope you guys are too as well. As always, guys, thank you so much for listening. We hope you guys really enjoyed the show. We will be back around for a PvP show this week, so check that out as well in the Battle Royale world in which we've been living so much in as well. You can follow us on Twitter at Fortnite Podcast. You can also check us out at TwoLoudTX is me, and Nolxero, Nolxero, is David. And guys, if you have any suggestions for guests that we should have on, let us know. We'd love to get some of the guests on, whether it be Save the World or a Battle Royale. We will definitely get to getting some guests on and having them come talk about their experiences in the world of Fortnite, from large YouTubers, which are some of our friends, to content creators that are maybe you see on the forums and on Reddit. So hopefully you guys will continue to come back around and enjoy it. I do want to say that if you guys could please leave us a review on iTunes, it would really help us out. We really appreciate it. With the new feed that we got going on, we could use some reviews. And hey, if we suck, tell us so we can get better. But guys, thanks so much for being here. And until next time, dance out those kills and boast in those victory royales.